All right. Hello again. The final section of this. This is the talk through the lesson part of A Day in the Life, which I'll talk you through the piece, and then we will follow that up with another performance example. So, Day in the Life, I have the one I provided for you a few weeks ago with the lyrics and the chords in blue. If that one works for you, if that one's been working for you, just keep using that one. I did, however, upload one called Version 2. Version 2 is the exact same song. I just presented the information in a different way rather than having the lyrics that you follow along the lyrics with. I just wrote the chords in order. This is on Canvas under Files. You can take a look at it. I just wrote the chords in order with how many beats you play it for. So 2x is like 2 strums. And you can, for every beat, you can just play down like I did, or you can down up. So let's talk through this. The intro is G. Next chord is B minor. So you have quite a few references for these chords at this point. If you're unsure of any, just Google it. Type in B minor chord and it will show you. But for the record, we looked at B minor, the bar chord version. We also did this modified one that was 2, 3, 4, going down diagonally. Just those 3 high strings. Either one's okay. Then it goes to E minor. Then E minor 7. I showed you 2 versions. One is when you just lift the middle finger. The other is where you keep the 2 fingers for E minor down, but you add the pinky onto the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. That's okay too. And then the C chord. So for the intro, if we were to play 2 beats of G, 2 beats of B minor, 2 beats of E minor, 2 beats of E minor 7, and then 8 beats of C, I'm going to show you just a regular downstrum version. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we get to verse 1. I read the news today. Oh boy. 2 G's, 2 B minors, 2 E minors, 2 E minor 7s, 4 C's, A sus2. Now here's an important distinction. The first version I gave you with the blue chords and this new one, the chords have some intentional, subtle differences. Like this A sus2 chord is not in the other version. I wrote out this new version because I thought it would be easier and more accessible for people for whom the other one was a little bit challenging to look at. And I figured while I'm trying to modify this in a way that makes it easier to play anyway, I'll also throw in slightly modified chords once in a while that I think also make it easier to play. So remember, A sus2, we learned this, we played it in class. It's just 2 fingers. Kind of like E minor. E minor is 2 fingers on the 4th and 5th strings. A sus2 is 2 fingers on the 3rd and 4th strings. So just going down the line, almost all the chords are 2 or 4 times. G, B minor, E minor 7, C, A sus2, G, B minor, E minor 7, C, F, however you want to play the F, whichever version you like. In fact, the more variety we get in terms of how people play it, the better it sounds. Again, E minor 7, C. It gets to be pretty repetitive. You just sort of keep going through those basic chords. Then we get to verse 2. He blew his mind out in a car. Verse 2, similar to verse 1, just a little bit shorter. We talked about this in class too. If you're trying to do the transition and it's a little too fast, end your current chord early to get to the next chord on time. So when I go G, B minor, you'll notice I lift my fingers. Lift, lift. It is perfectly fine if a chord ends early. The example I used in class was Smells Like Teen Spirit. If you were to slow it down and listen back to it, you'll hear I'm playing a lot of open chords as I move my fingers, because that's how Kurt Cobain did it in Nirvana. But at full speed, you don't really hear it. Same thing, just do what you have to get the chords out. Then we get to verse 3. Verse 3 is more or less verse 2. Then we get what I called random notes, 11 bars of random notes. So the way this is going to work is when he gets to the lyric, I'd love to turn you. When he says the word you switch to playing random notes. We want a cacophony. We want chaos. I'm not even looking at my fretboard. If I get some ugly sounds, even better. Whatever, for 11 bars. Then we get to the end, and we'll practice this during our. This is an important part of our 2-hour rehearsal before the concert. I'm going to be conducting a very small conducting pattern. Down, in, out, up is 1, 2, 3, 4. But when it's time to move on, I'm going to give a really big 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, and then we go to that bridge. And at that point, that's when we speed up and we go to that E major. Now you'll notice all the chords up to this point, I've had an X to say 2 times or 2 beats. But the bridge, I left the X's out because I switched it to strums. Because for the other parts, you could have taken 2 beats and you could have just played downs or down ups. But for the bridge, I specifically only want you to strum down on this. So 28 downs, woke up, woke up, got out of bed. So it's E. Then it goes to the D chord. A regular D is perfectly fine. If you want to do that D sus2 sus4 chord, it's like a regular D, but you lift the index, you lift the middle, and the ring finger is the only one that's left. That sounds good too. We have some people playing D sus2 sus4 and other people playing D. That's going to really go together nicely. E to B7. So let's talk about that transition. It's easy. It's really easy. This is E. Sounds nice to do that. To switch to B7, your middle finger does not move. Your index finger moves 1 string toward the ceiling. Your ring finger moves 1 string toward the floor. So, same fret. This is the E. That's the B. Those just switch. And they're usually 4 each. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm confident that all of you can do that. Let's say that's the hard part though, because it is fast. I'll admit that part's kind of fast. If you notice, in both chords, E, the top 2 strings, top 2 pitch strings, are open. B7, the way we're playing it, the top 2 pitch strings are open. So one way to modify that, that'll still sound absolutely perfect with the song, is when that moment comes up, just for both E and B7, just play those 2 thinnest strings. Now I don't want everyone to do that, but if a few people do that, that'll be nice. In fact, like with everything else, it enhances it. The more variety we can infuse, the fuller, richer sound we get. After the bridge, we get to page 2. There are 2 pages. Make sure you bring both of them with you. By the way, bring your own music with you. There will be copies there in folders, but I don't want you to rely on that. Have your own just in case. The instrumental break. 4 beats of C, 4 beats of G, 4 beats of D, 4 beats of A, E, C, G, D, A. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, E. And then I wrote in rhythm because this E, D, C, D, G is this part. And that G is verse 4. If that part's tricky for you, play the notes. Think back to Alfred. This is an E note. This is a D note. This is a C note. That'll sound great. Go with the notes if the chords are too much, or just because you want to. Other people will be playing the chords. Verse 4 is more or less the same as verses 2 and 3. And then we get another random note section at the end. This time it's only 10 bars instead of 11. This is an example of truncating. And then when we get to the end, I'll give another big 4 pattern, but you're going to play a short E and then a long E, like this. Short, long. And when I say short, I mean the sound is short. We mute it with our palm. Short, long. And we let that last one ring as long as it will go until all 123 people's instruments stop making sound. Then, when that's over, this is the last song of the evening. I'll take a step back. I will gesture to you. You'll all stand up with the other 100 people, and you'll bow together. We'll practice the bows in person on that day, and that's it. Like I mentioned, your friends and family are invited, so hopefully, if you're interested, you can have them come out and support you, and you get to share this moment with them. And as soon as the concert's done, you get to go meet with your guests if you invite anyone, grab your stuff, and then that's it. And the semester is done at that point. Okay, I'm going to stop this video and give you a playthrough demonstration of A Day in the Life by the Beatles.